The night rests over the far north, quiet and slow, spreading across the land in silver light and frost. The wind moves gently through the valley, brushing past dark trees and silent hills, carrying the soft scent of pine and snow. Above, the sky stretches wide and calm, stars glowing faintly through a thin veil of cloud. The world feels hushed, as if holding its breath, each sound distant and softened by the cold. Time itself seems slower here, drifting like smoke through the frozen air. At the edge of the white horizon stands a longhouse, half hidden beneath snow, its roof heavy, its walls pressed close against the wind. A thin thread of smoke rises from the vent above, curling into the night, disappearing among the stars. Around it, the ground lies smooth and untouched, broken only by faint marks of footsteps leading home. Inside those wooden walls, warmth waits patiently, a quiet glow holding steady against the vast, dark outside. This is winter in the Old North, the season of stillness and endurance. Here, life moves gently, each motion small and certain, guided by the rhythm of the cold. The people who lived here did not fight the frost. They lived within it, their days marked by the fire's light, their nights wrapped in silence. The longhouse was their world, a single room holding family, warmth, and the quiet comfort of being together. Survival was not a battle, it was a rhythm. Slow, steady, unbroken. Imagine walking through the snow toward that small light, your steps soft, the sound fading as soon as it begins. The air is sharp and dry, brushing against your face, each breath leaving a cloud that vanishes almost instantly. Around you, the land stretches endless and pale, the sky pressing close, the stars watching in silence. There is no rush, no movement, only the faint hum of wind and the deep calm of night. Ahead, the soft glow of firelight shines through the cracks in the wooden walls, a promise of warmth waiting beyond the door. When you step inside, the air changes. The warmth folds around you, carrying the scent of wood smoke and pine. The light is dim and golden, shaped by a single fire that burns low at the center of the room. Shadows drift gently across the walls, and the sound of the wind fades to a quiet murmur. You can hear the fire breathing, a calm rhythm of crackle and sigh, steady and deep. The room feels alive with quiet heat, a heartbeat in the middle of the frozen world. Around the hearth, people sit close, their movements slow and quiet, their faces soft in the glow. The warmth touches everything: wood, wool, and skin, melting the cold that clings to the air. Along the sides of the room, benches are lined with furs, and above them, small shelves hold tools, bowls, and woven baskets. The longhouse hums with gentle life, each sound small but steady. The pop of a log, the shift of straw, the sigh of someone settling into rest. At the far end, animals sleep in their stalls, their breath rising in soft clouds that catch the firelight before fading. Their warmth mixes with the people's, filling the air with calm and weight. Outside, snow continues to fall, each flake drifting in slow circles, landing without sound. The wind moves lightly across the roof, then passes on. The land is silent again. Inside, the longhouse glows like a lantern in the dark. The fire burns without hurry, its warmth steady and kind. Nothing presses forward here, nothing rushes or fades. Time drifts like ash in the air, weightless, unmeasured. The night continues, patient and wide, holding everything in its quiet rhythm. And as the cold deepens beyond the walls, the longhouse in the snow. The longhouse stands quiet in the heart of the frozen plain, its wooden frame dark beneath the snow, its roof curved low like the back of a sleeping animal. The walls are thick and solid, built to hold warmth and silence, pressed tight with moss and clay, shaped by years of wind and frost. Around it, the world lies in stillness, the horizon washed in faint silver light, the air frozen in place. Nothing moves except the slow curl of smoke rising from the roof, a sign that life continues inside, small but steady, warm against the dark. Inside, the air hums with the soft rhythm of heat. The long hearth stretches through the center of the room, a narrow line of glowing embers, flames moving slowly as if half asleep. The smoke rises upward through the open vent, and light folds gently across the room, touching faces, hands and walls, brushing over the wooden beams and the woven furs that hang along them. The sound of the fire is constant, low and calm, the kind of sound that seems to fill every space without changing at all. Around it, life gathers quietly, close and still. Along both sides of the longhouse, benches line the walls, covered in thick hides, layered to soften the hard wood beneath. Children sleep wrapped in blankets of wool, their breaths steady and slow, their cheeks faintly pink from the warmth. Beside them, adults sit or lie, moving little, their voices kept low to match the tone of the night. The air is filled with a kind of gentle closeness, a feeling of safety pressed deep into every shadow. The fire gives just enough light to see, but not enough to disturb. The roof is low, built to trap heat and hold it. The smoke drifts upward, thin and grey, gathering near the beams before slipping through the vent above. The scent of pine and ash fills the space, mixed with wool and earth. It is the scent of winter life, heavy but comforting, like time itself has thickened in the air. Each surface feels warm to the touch, the wood, the hides, even the air itself. It moves slowly, wrapping around everything. At the far end, behind a wooden partition, the animals rest. Cows, goats and sheep breathe in slow rhythm, their warmth mixing with the heat from the fire, turning the air soft and alive. The faint sound of hooves shifting against the straw echoes gently, a low rustle that fades as quickly as it comes. In this place, people and animals share the same shelter, the same air, the same safety. It is not strange, it is simply life. Food simmers quietly above the hearth, a clay pot resting on stones, filled with broth made from barley and root vegetables, thick and simple, its scent rising with the smoke. A woman stirs it once, slowly, without hurry, then sets the spoon aside and sits near the fire again. The steam curls upward, joins the smoke, and disappears into the dim air. There is no rush, no noise, only the slow rhythm of living. The sound of wood settling in the fire is enough to fill the room. When someone speaks, their voice stays low, smooth as the flicker of light along the floor. Words come softly, almost as breath, then fade. Conversation here is quiet, not because of fear, but because silence has its own comfort, its own warmth. The people have learned to live in that silence, to rest in it, to let it hold them. The night outside might stretch endlessly, but inside, time folds close, small and calm. The walls are marked with small things, tools hanging from hooks, baskets woven from reeds, a knife with a handle darkened by touch. Everything has its place, nothing wasted, nothing left undone. The people who live here move through the space without sound, each step slow, each motion familiar. Even the children know to move gently to match the stillness that fills the air. It is not a rule, only a rhythm learned over time. Outside, snow continues to fall. Through the smoke vent, a faint draft of cold air slips in, bringing the soft scent of night. The fire responds with a flicker, the light trembling across the beams, then settling again. Beyond the walls, the land is covered in white, smooth and endless. The forests are silent, the rivers frozen, the stars hidden behind a thin veil of cloud. Yet inside, the warmth remains and the hum of life continues, quiet but steady. When the night grows deeper, the fire burns lower, its light dim and red, glowing through the ash like the heart of the house itself. The people lie down one by one, covering themselves in furs, their movement slow, unhurried. The sound of the last log settling fills the silence for a moment, then fades. Only the faint crackle remains, steady as breathing. The smoke thins, the air grows heavy with rest. Soon, the only motion left is the flicker of the dying fire, its light tracing soft shapes on the walls. A hand shifts beneath a blanket, a child sighs in sleep, a cow exhales from the far end of the room. The warmth lingers, caught in the wooden bones of the house, pulsing softly through the air. Outside, the storm passes, the sky clears, and faint starlight touches the roof. Inside, nothing changes. The fire glows, dim and patient. The people sleep, the animals sleep. Even the air seems to rest. It is the kind of silence that feels endless, where time moves like breath, slow and invisible. The longhouse holds them all, warmth, stillness and peace, gathered together in a small world carved from the cold. And as the night stretches on, deep and calm, the fire keeps its quiet promise, burning just enough to last until morning. The world beyond the walls fades completely, and only the gentle pulse of heat remains. The longhouse stands through the darkness, through the snow and silence, holding the memory of every breath within it. The people rest, the earth rests, and the night continues, smooth and unbroken, carrying all things towards sleep. The warmth of life. The fire never truly sleeps inside the longhouse, even when the people do. Beneath the thin layer of ash, small embers continue to glow, red and patient, breathing with the rhythm of the night. From time to time, someone stirs, half awake, reaches toward the hearth and places another piece of wood upon the coals. The flame answers slowly, catching light without sound, flickering just enough to keep the warmth alive. It is a quiet agreement between fire and life, each promising to stay while the other rests. The warmth fills the longhouse like water fills a hollow stone, seeping into every surface, into the floor, the walls, the air itself. It has a weight, a pulse, a steady hum that lingers even when the fire is small. People sleep close together, their breathing soft and slow, their bodies sharing what the fire begins. The night outside may stretch wide and endless, but inside, the air is thick with calm, and the dark feels gentle. When dawn comes, it does not arrive with brightness. The light outside is pale, cold, and slow to grow. Inside, the fire becomes the morning sun, its glow warming faces and hands, its scent familiar and safe. Someone rises first, moving quietly to stir the coals, to prepare the pot that hangs above the embers. The sound of wood being placed upon fire is almost musical, soft and measured, a sound that belongs to this place. Soon the room begins to wake, not with noise but with motion. A shift of straw, a quiet breath, the soft rustle of wool. The people stretch slowly, the kind of movement that feels half like memory, half like instinct. Children rub their eyes, blinking against the dim light, and crawl toward the hearth, seeking warmth. The smell of smoke and broth begins to drift through the air again, thick and earthy, filling the space with the comfort of something known. The morning in winter does not rush. There is no call to hurry, no need to chase the day. Tasks wait, but they wait in silence. The world outside is frozen. and time follows its lead. A man sits by the door, tying leather cords around his boots, his fingers slow but sure. A woman folds a fur cloak, brushing frost from its edge, laying it neatly across a bench. The children feed the fire with small sticks, watching as the flames rise, their faces reflected in the orange light. Every motion carries purpose but no haste. The longhouse breathes with them. Each creak of the wood feels like an old sigh, each gust of wind outside like a memory passing through. The walls hold the sound of life the way snow holds footprints, softly, gently, ready to fade back into silence. There is no separation between the people and their home. The house itself feels alive, its warmth the same as theirs, its stillness shared. As the morning settles, the pot begins to boil. Steam rises in thin lines, twisting through the air, carrying the scent of barley and root. The food is simple, but it fills the stomach and steadies the body. They eat together, sitting close to the fire, wooden bowls warm in their hands. No one speaks much. The sound of eating, of spoons against clay, is enough. The rhythm of the moment replaces the need for words. Outside, the wind moves across the snow, sweeping through the empty fields and over the frozen sea. It hums softly against the walls, a reminder of the world waiting beyond. But here, inside, the sound is muted, distant, softened by the weight of the wood and the glow of the hearth. The people do not need to look out. They already know the day, the cold, the grey light, the long hours before night returns. They have lived this pattern for as long as memory reaches. When work begins, it begins slowly. A man sharpens a tool by the door, the scrape of metal, faint and even. A woman spins wool beside the fire, the thread turning between her fingers, smooth and constant. The children fetch water, their laughter quiet, as if even joy must move gently in the stillness of winter. The rhythm of the house remains the same, slow, patient, steady. The sound of each task folds into the next, until it all becomes one soft hum beneath the roof. As the day passes, light seeps in through the small gaps between timbers, a thin golden thread across the floor. The fire shifts in color, deepening from orange to red, its shadows stretching long along the walls. The smell of smoke grows thicker, a haze that makes the air look like twilight, even before the sun begins to fade. The animals stir again, hooves shifting in the straw, a quiet sound that blends with the crackle of wood. Everything moves in balance, nothing louder than it should be. When evening returns, the people gather once more around the hearth. The tasks of the day are done, the tools put away, the furs drawn close. The fire is fed again, slow and careful, its flame rising with a soft sigh. The glow deepens, wrapping the faces in warmth and shadow. Someone hums a tune, low and steady, a sound without melody, only rhythm. It drifts through the air like the wind through pine, barely more than breath. Outside, the sky darkens. The snow glows faintly under the fading light. Stars appear again, one by one, scattered across the black. The world returns to stillness, the kind that has no edge, no boundary, only space. Inside, the longhouse mirrors that stillness, its warmth a quiet echo of the sleeping earth. When night finally settles again, the fire softens to a dim glow, the same steady pulse that carried them through the night before. The people lie close once more, wrapped in the same furs, breathing the same air, held in the same calm. The warmth remains unchanged, constant. The longhouse holds its promise, that through all the dark hours, through cold and silence, the flame will keep breathing. And as sleep returns, as the world folds again into stillness, the warmth continues to hum beneath it all, the soft reminder that life, even in the coldest night, is never truly still. Shared space, shared breath. The longhouse is not just a shelter, it is a world contained within walls of timber and clay, a single breath that holds many lives together beneath one roof. In the heart of winter, when the air outside turns hard and the snow seals the ground, everything that lives gathers here, people and animals, warmth and sound, all sharing the same space, the same air, the same slow rhythm of existence. The walls are thick, built to hold the heat that rises from fire and flesh, but they also hold the pulse of life itself, soft and steady, a quiet harmony born from closeness. Inside, there is no true separation. The line between people and the rest of the living world fades until it becomes something shared, something collective. The warmth from the hearth moves outward, touching the bodies of those seated nearby, reaching to the sleeping children, to the cattle resting behind the partition, to the dog curled near the door. Each breath adds to the air, each sound blends with the next, until the house hums with the low, continuous tone of life unfolding at its own pace. The air feels thick but kind, filled with the faint scent of smoke, wool, and breath. In the quietest hours of night, the fire still whispers softly, a small, constant crackle beneath the deeper rhythm of sleep. Someone shifts in the darkness, perhaps turning on the bench or reaching to pull a fur closer. The wood creaks, the floor sighs, and from the far end comes the slow exhale of an animal, deep and warm. All of it weaves together, not as noise but as texture, the sound of togetherness, the breath of winter life. The longhouse is long but narrow, its walls lined with benches where families sleep and sit through the day. Along the center runs the hearth, the line of flame that defines everything. Around it, the world is arranged in circles. The people close to the fire, the animals farther but not far, the cold pressed against the outer walls like a forgotten dream. The firelight moves across the room, touching wood and wool and skin, folding everyone into the same soft glow. The warmth is shared not just through air but through presence. Each person carries heat in their body, each animal adds its own. The air grows dense with it, gentle and alive, the warmth of a small sun that burns quietly through the night. There is no need to measure or divide, for everyone here knows the rule of survival. That warmth belongs to all, that breath belongs to all. In this way, the longhouse becomes something more than home. It becomes a living being, breathing through its vents, exhaling through its smoke hole, inhaling each sigh, each murmur, each rise and fall of life within. The rhythm of day and night continues like the slow beat of a drum beneath layers of snow. When the morning light returns, faint and pale, it slides through the gaps in the wall, barely bright enough to touch the air. People wake in silence, stirring in the dimness, their movements soft and practiced. A man adds wood to the fire, the flame sighs and the first warmth spreads again. A woman stirs the pot that hung above the coals through the night, checking the broth that will become the first meal. The scent fills the air, mingling with smoke, with wool, with the soft musk of animal breath. Everything blends, everything belongs. Children rise last, wrapped in thick cloaks, their hair tangled from sleep, their eyes still heavy. They stay near the fire, hands stretched toward it, quiet but curious. A cat slips between them, brushing against a leg, moving toward the warmth like water finds a stream. The sound of quiet laughter passes through the air, barely more than a whisper, but enough to make the longhouse seem brighter. It does not echo, it simply lingers, folded into the air like. And throughout the day, life continues in quiet patterns. Someone tends to the animals, checking straw and water, murmuring soft sounds that calm them. Someone spins wool, her hands moving in slow circles, her face still and peaceful in the half-light. A man carves wood near the door, the soft scraping sound marking time. Each task happens in its own rhythm, but together they form a single song, a steady hum that rises and falls like breathing. There is no rush to finish, for there is no outside world waiting to demand more. The day is long, but the rhythm of work makes it short, its pace measured by the glow of the fire and the pale drift of daylight. When the sun fades, though it never truly brightens, the longhouse gathers its warmth again. The people move closer to the hearth, their shadows overlapping on the walls, their voices returning to the soft murmur of night. The animals settle again in the straw, their hooves shifting, their breath deep and slow. Someone adds another log and the fire grows stronger, its light flowing across the floor like a small tide. The house breathes deeper now, filled with the heat of another night beginning. The sense of closeness here is not confinement, but belonging. Each person knows their place in the rhythm of the house. Each sound belongs to someone, and no sound feels alone. The creak of wood is familiar, the sigh of the fire a companion, the breath of others a reminder that life continues beside your own. It is a small world but complete, and within its walls there is peace. Outside, the cold deepens again. The stars return to the sky, scattered and sharp, and the snow glows faintly in their light. The land beyond the longhouse lies silent, endless, untouched. The frost clings to branches, and the rivers sleep under thick glass. But none of that touches the still warmth inside, where time feels slow and round, looping endlessly between day and night, breath and rest. In the deepest hour of night, when even the fire has quieted, the house seems to hold its breath. The smoke thins, the air stills, and every sound fades until there is almost nothing left. Then from the dark comes the low sound of a cow shifting in the straw, the gentle rustle of a blanket, the faint sigh of someone turning in their sleep. These are the sounds that remind the house it is still alive. The air fills again, slow and steady, and the longhouse exhales once more. The fire glows faintly through the ash, its light no longer seen but felt. The warmth moves like a current through the air, touching each face, each hand, each body. It is a shared pulse, unbroken and patient. The people dream, the animals dream, the walls hold the quiet. The snow outside falls without sound, and the stars keep their place above the roof. By the time dawn comes again, the fire will be waiting, the warmth still there, held in the walls like memory. The people will rise, the animals will stir, and the rhythm will begin once more. Nothing changes quickly here. Everything moves with the same soft breath, the same quiet promise, that together, within this space, warmth will endure, and life will continue. The longhouse remains, a single shape against the white world, holding light and sound within its frame. It breathes in with the night, out with the day, always full, never empty. It holds the weight of winter, the sound of living, the comfort of rest. And in its heart, where the fire burns low and steady, every breath taken by those within becomes part of the same slow song, the song of warmth, of life, of shared space and shared breath. Clothing for the endless cold. When winter stretches endlessly across the land, clothing becomes more than fabric. It becomes a shield between breath and frost, a quiet armor against the long night. In the far north, where the air bites even when it stands still, every layer matters, every thread holds meaning. The people here dress not for beauty, but for survival, for warmth, for comfort in the face of cold that never truly ends. Their clothing carries the memory of seasons, the rhythm of work, the care of many hands that wove, stitched, and shaped it by firelight. Inside the longhouse, the air is warm enough to move without trembling, but stepping beyond the door means stepping into a world where the cold has weight. Before the door opens, the people wrap themselves in wool and fur, their movements slow, deliberate, quiet. The air that waits outside will try to steal every bit of heat it can find, so each piece of clothing must fit like a second skin, each layer sealing warmth close to the body. It is a slow ritual, one that begins with care, one that never changes, one that feels as old as the land itself. The first layer touches the skin, soft wool, spun thick from the sheep that graze near the frozen hills in the warmer months. The thread is coarse, but gentle once worn, its fibers dense with the faint smell of earth and lanolin. The people pull the tunic over their heads, feeling its weight settle across the shoulders, the sleeves rough at first, then warm as they meet the skin. Around the waist, a belt of leather binds it close, simple and strong, holding the shape of the body within the shape of the garment. The warmth begins there, quiet and close, like a small ember beneath the surface. Above the wool comes another layer, thicker, heavier, woven from the same hands that made the first. Sometimes it is a cloak, sometimes a long coat, sometimes just another tunic, rougher and stronger, meant to face the air that moves outside. The fabric smells faintly of smoke from the fires where it dried, of the hands that turned it again and again before it was ready. Its color is the color of the land. Brown, grey, faded green. The kind of shade that does not stand out, that belongs to the season it protects against. Over the shoulders they fasten cloaks with small brooches carved from bone or shaped from iron. The clasps are simple, nothing more than what is needed, but they hold the weight of the garment against the wind. The cloak itself falls heavy, thick with fur or lined with wool, wrapping the body in a slow, steady heat. When the cold wind blows, the fabric bends but does not break. The fur ripples like water under snow. It moves with the body, it breathes with it, it becomes part of the silence outside. Hands and feet need their own kind of protection. Mittens are sewn from scraps of fur and leather, soft on the inside, rough on the outside. The people wear them when they work, when they walk, when they sleep. They keep the hands warm enough to hold tools, to carry wood, to touch the snow without pain. The boots are made from leather, stitched with patience, lined with fur and packed with dry grass or straw to trap the warmth. The soles are thick and stiff, shaped to walk across frozen ground, to cross ice without sinking. Each pair tells its own story, marked by use, shaped by footsteps through long winters past. The hood or cap comes last, pulled over the head before the door opens. It is made from fur or thick wool, tied beneath the chin, covering the ears and the back of the neck, where cold likes to creep in. Once it is in place, the world outside becomes quieter, the wind softer, the body's heat locked within. The breath inside the hood sounds louder, slower, steadier, as if the world has shrunk to a small circle of warmth, surrounded by endless white. When everyone is ready, the door opens with a low creak, and the cold enters like a presence, slow and certain. The air bites the skin of the face, the only part left uncovered, and the breath turns to frost, almost at once. But the people do not flinch. They step into the snow with steady feet, the layers holding them, protecting them, keeping them warm from the inside out. The clothing moves as they move, flexible and silent, its weight a comfort rather than a burden. Outside, the cold presses close, but the layers of wool and fur hold firm. The people work in it without fear. They walk through the fields, through the forest paths, over the frozen rivers, their breath rising in small clouds that linger for only a moment before vanishing. The cold tries to claim the warmth, but it cannot. The layers keep it in place, each one a barrier, each one a reminder that survival is made of care, not stress. When the work ends and the people return to the longhouse, they shake the snow from their cloaks and hang them near the fire. The fabric darkens as it melts, water turning to steam, the air filling with the faint smell of damp wool and smoke. Boots are placed beside the hearth, mittens laid over the benches to dry. Slowly, the warmth seeps back into the clothing, ready for the next time it is needed. Around the fire, the people sit again, unwrapping the layers one by one until the air of the room feels close against the skin. Each layer removed feels like a return, a soft undoing of the day. The cloaks fall away, the boots are set aside, the hoods are loosened. The heavy air outside is forgotten, replaced by the quiet breath of fire. The people sit together, shoulders close, hands stretched toward the glow. Their clothing hangs around them, drying, steaming, carrying the story of the day, of the cold, of the wind, of the snow that never stopped falling. Through the night, the garments rest near the fire, the heat weaving through the fibers, renewing them, softening them. By morning, they will be warm again, ready to hold back the cold, ready to face the endless winter. The people sleep knowing that tomorrow will feel the same air, the same frost, the same ritual of warmth and layering, of leaving and returning. In this world, clothing is not fashion, it is memory. Each stitch remembers the hands that made it. Each patch remembers the day it was worn through. Each thread carries the warmth of those who lived before. The wool remembers the sheep that once grazed in the short northern summer. The fur remembers the forest that gave it. The leather remembers the movement of life beneath it. Nothing is wasted, nothing forgotten. Every piece holds a story, every layer a promise. And so when the people of the north wrap themselves in their garments, they are not only protecting their bodies, they are wrapping themselves in the work of their own hands, in the warmth of their home, in the shared memory of survival. Each layer binds them to the world around them, to the fire that dries the wool, to the earth that grows the grass for the sheep, to the sky that drops the snow. The warmth they carry is not their own, it is the warmth of everything that lives and has lived before. When night falls again and the cold returns to press against the walls, the people will be ready. The fire will glow, the clothes will wait, and the ritual will begin once more. Layer by layer, warmth against cold, softness against wind, patience against time. The longhouse will breathe, the people will breathe, and in the silence between heartbeats, winter will pass without winning. The world outside may freeze, but inside the layers, life endures. Slow, steady, and warm. The sound of winter work. The days of winter are long and slow, filled not with silence, but with soft sounds that shape the hours like breath shapes the air. In the far north, work does not stop when the snow falls, it only changes its rhythm. Inside the longhouse, the people continue the quiet labor that keeps life moving through the cold months. Each motion, each sound, carries weight and warmth, a reminder that stillness does not mean idleness, that life continues in small, measured ways. The fire wakes first, always. Before dawn, when the world outside is still dark and heavy, someone stirs beneath their furs, reaches for a log, and sets it upon the sleeping embers. The wood catches slowly, the flame rising without haste, spreading its orange light across the room. The warmth moves outward, touching faces still hidden in shadow, and the faint crackle fills the silence. It is a soft sound, patient and constant, the sound that marks the beginning of every day. As the light grows, so does the house. People rise quietly, without talk, without rush. They move around the fire like slow-moving shadows, adding wood, stirring broth, pulling on wool and leather. The first task is always the same: to make warmth, to make light. After that, the work divides itself, flowing through the day as gently as the wind moves through trees. Near the door, the men prepare tools for the hours ahead. A steady scraping fills the air, metal drawn against stone, slow and even. The sound of sharpening is not harsh, it is rhythm, a pulse of friction and breath that belongs to the morning. The blades glint faintly in the firelight, thin lines of reflection that fade as soon as they appear. The men do not speak. Their work is quiet, careful, shaped by years of repetition. When the tools are ready, they rest them beside the wall and take a moment to watch the fire, letting the warmth touch their faces before stepping outside. The door opens with a low creak, and the sound of the outside world slips in. It is not loud, only the faint sigh of wind, the distant groan of ice shifting somewhere unseen, the whisper of snow falling through branches. The air is sharp and dry, and every sound seems clearer in it, as if the cold has polished the world until even silence shines. When the door closes, the longhouse returns to its hum of quiet work. Inside, the women tend to the tasks that shape the rhythm of the season. Wool is spun by the hearth, the spindle turning in slow, steady circles, its faint whirring sound blending with the crackle of the fire. The thread gathers on the distaff, smooth and soft, growing thicker with each motion of the hand. It is a patient sound, the sound of creation, of warmth being born from labor. The wool will become tunics and cloaks, mittens and blankets, all made to hold the cold at bay. The work continues through the day, the rhythm unbroken, the sound low and constant. Another sound joins, the scraping of a wooden spoon against the side of a pot. The stew thickens as it cooks, the scent of barley and root filling the air, rising with the smoke to touch the beams above. The bubbling is soft, irregular, almost like the breath of someone asleep. It is a sound that carries comfort, the memory of every meal before it, the promise of warmth yet to come. In another corner, someone mends leather, the needle pushing through the hide with a faint, firm click. The thread pulls tight, the seam closes, and the sound fades again. The smell of oil and hide mixes with smoke and wool, filling the air with the scent of work. The rhythm of these tasks is never hurried. The people move through them as the day moves through light, slow, steady, inevitable. Outside, the men cut wood. The thud of the axe echoes faintly, deep and muffled beneath the snow. Each strike falls with precision, followed by a pause, a breath, and another strike. The rhythm carries far across the frozen field, but here inside, it feels distant, softened by walls and fire. The sound belongs to winter as much as the wind does. It is part of the season's music, slow and sure. Children sit near the fire, shaping small things from leftover wood. Their knives are dull, their motions cautious. They carve toys, spoons or small figures, their faces serious, their hands unhurried. The shavings curl and fall, whispering as they touch the floor. Sometimes the children hum softly, the melody too faint to follow, only a pattern of breath against the crackle of the hearth. The sound drifts through the air like smoke, barely there, yet warm in its simplicity. As the light fades, the sounds change again. The scraping of tools stops, the thud of the axe falls silent. The men return, carrying wood and snow, their steps slow, their breaths visible in the dim air. The door opens, then closes, and the cold enters for a moment before it is swallowed by the warmth. Boots are set aside, gloves placed near the fire, and the sound of melting begins, a quiet, dripping, steady and light. The snow turns to water, the water to steam, and the air fills with the scent of thawing. The evening grows heavier, thicker with heat and smoke. Voices return now low and steady, speaking in tones that rise and fall like embers, glowing and fading. Laughter comes softly, without edge, disappearing almost as soon as it begins. The sound of the animals at the far end adds to it, a shift of hooves, a snort, the slow rhythm of breath. Every sound in the longhouse belongs to the same quiet language, the language of life continuing without pause. When the meal is ready, bowls are passed around, spoons lift and dip, the sound of eating quiet and complete. The taste is simple, the warmth deep. No one speaks much now. The only voices are the crackle of the fire and the soft click of wooden spoons against clay. Outside, the wind presses against the walls, searching for a way in but finds none. The house holds its warmth like a promise. After the meal, the work becomes softer, slower. Someone brushes the floor with a bundle of straw, the sound light and rhythmic. Someone else mends a tear in a cloak, the thread whispering as it passes through the fabric. The fire burns low, its voice quiet now, a gentle hiss when the wood shifts. The air grows heavy with rest, each breath slower than the one before. When it is time to sleep, the house sighs. The fire dims, the tools are set aside, and the voices fade. The sound of the longhouse returns to its night rhythm. The small sounds that mark the presence of life. A log settling in the hearth, a blanket shifting, the steady breathing of those at rest, the low, patient sound of the wind pressing softly against the walls, like a hand at the edge of a dream. The night outside is wide and silent, but inside the sound of winter work lingers, a quiet echo of the day that passed. It hums in the beams, in the smoke, in the slow warmth that fills the air. It will begin again when the fire wakes, when the first log burns, when the house breathes out its first sigh of light. And until then, the sounds remain, faint, familiar, endless, carrying through the stillness like a heartbeat beneath snow. Firelight and shadows. When night returns to the longhouse, it comes softly, like a blanket settling across the roof. The air outside turns thick with frost, the wind slows, and snow begins to fall in fine, weightless threads. Inside, the day fades away, replaced by the slow pulse of firelight and the movement of shadows along the walls. The house becomes a single glowing breath in the middle of the dark, a quiet island of warmth surrounded by endless cold. The fire is the heart of it all. It burns low and steady, the flames rising and folding like waves in slow motion. Each flicker throws light across the beams above, bending the darkness into shapes that come and go without sound. The smoke curls upward, slow and silver, finding its way toward the vent above, carrying with it the faint scent of pine and ash. Around the hearth, everything glows. The walls, the faces, the fur-lined benches, all washed in the same soft hue of amber and gold. The light moves gently, never still, never harsh, touching everything it finds with patience. The shadows move with it. They are not sharp or sudden, but soft, fluid, and alive. They stretch and fold as the fire breathes, bending around corners, climbing across the ceiling beams, sliding over sleeping faces. Sometimes the shadow of a hand crosses the wall, reaching out for a piece of wood, then disappearing again. Sometimes the fire dims and the room grows darker, the shapes fading into a single, quiet shade of warmth. The people do not notice. They have lived with this dance for as long as memory reaches. The light and shadow belong to the same rhythm, like inhale and exhale, day and night, warmth and cold. As the house settles into rest, the fire becomes a living thing. Its sound is soft and constant, a low crackle, a sigh, a faint hiss when the resin in the wood meets the heat. The rhythm of it seems to match the rhythm of breathing, the rise and fall of chests beneath blankets, the quiet hum of animals sleeping in the far end. The fire knows how to be quiet, how to stay alive without calling attention to itself. It burns in patience, offering light that asks for nothing in return. Near the hearth, the glow is deepest. The faces closest to it seem carved from golden shadow, the lines of age and rest softened by the gentle light. A woman mends a tear in a cloak, her hands moving slowly, the needle catching flashes of brightness as it turns. A man sits beside her, shaping a small tool from bone, his knife moving in small, even strokes. The sound of the blade is faint, a soft rhythm beneath the steady voice of the fire. They do not speak. The silence between them is not empty. It is full of warmth, of breath, of the small comfort of shared stillness. At the far end of the room, the animals shift in their stalls. Their shadows rise and fall against the walls like drifting clouds, larger and slower than the human ones, their movement as calm as the wind outside. The light finds their backs, their horns, the faint shine in their eyes before it moves away again. Even here, in this quiet space, the fire touches all things, drawing a thin line between sleep and waking, warmth and cold, light and dark. The walls of the longhouse breathe with the fire. The beams expand with heat, then settle again as the flames lower. The sound is small but steady, like the slow stretching of wood beneath a soft weight. It is the sound of the house itself remembering that it is alive, that it too has warmth inside. The shadows climb these walls like slow rivers, fading and returning with the rhythm of the fire's breath. The darkness never leaves. It only changes shape. Every few moments, someone stirs. A hand reaches from beneath a blanket to add another log, to turn a pot, to shift a sleeping child closer to the heat. The movement breaks the stillness for an instant, then folds back into it. The new wood catches, the light brightens, the shadows scatter and return. Each action keeps the night whole, keeps the balance between glow and dark. In the longhouse, the fire is not only light, it is time itself, marking the hours by its slow transformation from flame to ember to ash. As the hours deepen, the color of the light changes. What began as orange turns to red, soft and low, like the last line of sunset lingering at the edge of the world. The shadows grow longer, slower, less certain of their shape. They no longer move across the walls, but drift through the air like breath, faint and gentle. The fire's voice grows quieter too, each crackle stretched thin, each sigh drawn out until it sounds almost like the wind itself. The people begin to sleep again, one by one. The blankets rise and fall, the sound of breathing fills the air like a tide. The light moves across faces, touching closed eyes, resting in the curve of a cheek, then fading. The shadow of the roof beam drifts slowly down the wall, a dark finger marking the passage of time. No one sees it, but the house does. It keeps the memory of each shift, each flicker, each whisper of flame. Outside, the snow continues to fall, covering the roof, the doorway, the silent world beyond. The weight of it softens every sound, even the wind. Through the small gaps in the wall, faint threads of cold air slip in, mixing with the warmth, creating a balance that never breaks. The fire answers each draft with a flicker, its glow rising to meet the chill, then settling again. Inside this small world, everything holds to harmony. The cold never conquers, the warmth never burns too bright. The shadows now are thin as smoke. They move so slowly they might not be moving at all. The longhouse glows like a single ember in a sea of white. Every wall, every beam, every sleeping form holds a trace of the light, the memory of the fire that burns not only in wood, but in breath, in flesh, in the quiet pulse of life. When the last log settles, when the last spark sinks into the ash, the room does not go dark. The glow remains, soft and deep, like light remembered rather than seen. The air still holds warmth, the walls still hum with it, and even the darkness feels gentle. The people sleep through it, their bodies cradled by the heat they have made, their dreams shaped by the rhythm of flickering light and slow-moving shadow. The longhouse rests, the fire rests, the night rests. Outside, the snow falls without end. Inside, the warmth stays without effort. The light and the shadow breathe together, the same way they always have, the same way they always will. The taste of winter meals. The warmth of the longhouse is not only made by the fire, but also by the slow rhythm of food that cooks through the day, by the soft scent of broth rising from a clay pot, by the quiet movement of hands preparing a meal that will last through the coldest hours of night. The taste of winter here is not bright or rich, it is deep and steady, like the earth beneath the snow, like the fire that never dies but burns low, always waiting to be stirred again. In the far north, food is not taken for granted. Each meal is a quiet act of care, built from what the summer left behind, from the gifts that patience provided. Barley, dried fish, salted meat, roots stored through the autumn, all kept in clay jars and wooden boxes, all waiting for this moment, when the world outside gives nothing and the hearth becomes the only garden that still grows warmth. The day begins with sound, not of voices but of wood striking against iron, of the hook above the fire shifting, of the lid of a pot being lifted. The broth inside moves slowly, thick with grain, small pieces of fish, a few shreds of dried herbs that carry the faint scent of sun and wind from months long past. The spoon moves through it in slow circles, stirring memory into the present. The fire answers with a soft hiss as drops fall from the spoon into the flame. As the broth thickens, the air in the longhouse changes. The smell of food mingles with the smoke, blending warmth with comfort. It fills the space between voices, the quiet gaps between breath and movement. The scent of cooking is not just hunger, it is safety. It tells the people that life continues, that warmth is still possible, that the body will find what it needs, even in the heart of cold. Someone sits beside the fire, cutting pieces of dried meat with a small knife. The motion is slow, careful, shaped by habit. The meat is tough but clean, its salt softened by steam once it meets the pot. Each piece falls into the water with a quiet sound, and the surface ripples, small circles fading one into another. Nothing is wasted. Each fragment, each drop of oil, each sliver of root finds its place in the slow dance of cooking. The people do not rush the meal. The longer the food stays over the flame, the deeper it becomes, the more it carries the warmth of the fire into itself. The heat seeps through the clay pot, through the wooden spoon, through the air. The walls of the house hold that warmth the way the earth holds water, slow and steady, patient as breath. When it is ready, bowls are filled one by one, passed by hand, careful not to spill. The bowls are heavy, the wood warm from being near the fire. Steam rises in thin threads, curling upward like thought, like memory, disappearing into the dim air. No one speaks. The sound of the fire, the quiet movement of spoons, the slow exhale of contentment. That is the language of the meal. The taste is simple, and yet it holds everything. The salt from the sea, the smoke from the fire, the faint sweetness of root that grew in soil before the frost came. The warmth spreads slowly from the tongue to the chest, to the hands, to the quiet of the body. The first bite is heat, the second is calm, the third is the return of strength that winter had taken. It is food made from patience, food made from time. Even the children eat quietly, their eyes half closed, the rhythm of the spoon and the sound of breath merging into the same slow music. Between each bite there is rest, not because of fatigue, but because of reverence. Every taste feels like something to be remembered. The people do not eat to fill the stomach, they eat to remind themselves that they are still part of the warmth that holds them together. When the meal ends, no one rushes to move. The bowls rest in laps, the fire still glows, the air hums with soft satisfaction. The warmth inside each person joins the warmth of the house, blending into the same breath that fills the longhouse walls. Someone adds another log, the flame brightens, and the light reflects on the surface of the empty bowls. The moment stretches, calm and full. The cleaning is quiet. Water warmed by the fire is poured into a wooden basin, and the bowls are washed slowly, the sound soft and rhythmic. Steam rises, carrying the faint scent of food, of smoke, of earth. The hands move gently through it, rinsing, wiping, setting each piece aside to dry. The sound of cloth against wood, of water against bowl, of water dripping back into the basin, fills the silence without breaking it. Through the rest of the day, the fire is never left alone. Another pot replaces the one that cooled, filled with new broth or melting fat. Someone grinds grain between stones, the low hum of it blending with the fire's steady crackle. Someone else tends to a jar of butter, stirring it until it softens in the warmth. Every motion feels small but complete, each act a piece of the same quiet work that keeps life steady through the cold. The meals change little from day to day, yet each one feels different. Sometimes the broth carries a taste of fish, sometimes of meat, sometimes of nothing but herbs and salt, yet always it warms, always it fills. It is not variety that comforts the people, it is the ritual, the familiar taste that arrives at the same hour, the same warmth that returns after every day's labor. It is the sameness that gives peace, the repetition that becomes rhythm. When evening comes, the smell of food grows deeper. The fire burns lower, its light red and steady. The pot simmers softly, its surface trembling in small ripples of light. Shadows drift across the walls, moving in time with the flame. The air grows thick with the scent of earth and smoke and salt. No one waits for the signal to eat. They simply know when the moment has come. Bowls are lifted again, the same as before, the same warmth returning to the same hands. This time the silence is heavier, slower. The body no longer asks for strength, it only asks for comfort. The food gives it freely, the warmth flowing from inside to out. The fire and the meal become one, feeding both hunger and rest. Outside, the night presses close, but it cannot enter. The snow falls without sound, the world sleeps beneath it. Inside, the air hums with soft heat, with the scent of grain and smoke and breath. The people finish eating and sit still for a long while, eyes half closed, hands resting in laps, the last warmth of the meal spreading slowly through them. Later, when the bowls are empty and the fire grows dim, someone places the pot back on its hook, ready to catch the first flame of morning. The scent lingers in the air, faint but full, like a memory that refuses to fade. The people lie down again, their bodies full, their hearts quiet, their breath slow. The longhouse breathes with them, warm and content. And as the night deepens, the taste of the meal remains. In the air, in the wood, in the gentle hum of life that fills the dark. It is the taste of winter itself, not bitter, not harsh, but patient, steady, alive, a flavor made of smoke and time, of fire and breath, of the simple comfort that asks for nothing but rest. The deep silence of snow. When the snow falls through the night, it moves slower than thought, slower than breath. Each flake drifts through the still air like a quiet memory, turning and floating before settling softly on the ground. The sound it makes is not a sound at all, only the absence of one, a kind of gentle quiet that stretches across the land, covering fields, trees and rivers in a layer of silence so complete it feels like the world has stopped moving. Outside the longhouse, the snow deepens with each hour. The door is covered halfway, the roof thick with white. The air glows faintly as though the sky itself were made of frost, reflecting the light of unseen stars. There is no wind tonight, only the long, slow fall of snow. It moves without direction, without hurry, without beginning or end. In the stillness, even time feels softer, rounded by the weight of quiet. Inside, the fire burns low, a red circle of life in the middle of darkness. The people sleep, wrapped in layers of wool and fur, their breaths rising and fading like small clouds. The air is thick with the scent of smoke and warmth. The snow presses against the walls, muffling every sound, turning even the crackle of the hearth into something distant and tender. The longhouse feels smaller now, as though the falling snow outside has folded it deeper into the earth. When someone stirs in the night, the world around them does not change. A hand reaches from beneath a blanket, adds a piece of wood to the coals, and the light brightens for a moment. The shadows stretch across the walls, then return to stillness. Outside, the snow continues its endless descent, indifferent and patient. The sound of the logs settling in the fire is the only reminder that time still moves. The silence of snow is not empty. It carries a weight that fills every corner of space, every gap between breath and thought. It is the kind of silence that listens, that holds, rather than hides. The world becomes soft within it, edges blurred, sound swallowed, light diffused. The cold does not feel cruel in this quiet. It feels calm, as if it too has grown tired and come to rest. Beyond the longhouse, the forest stands unmoving. Each branch holds a small crown of snow. Each trunk stands like a dark mark in the white. The trees creak softly beneath the weight, the faintest of sounds carried through the frozen air. Far away, a river lies asleep under a sheet of ice, its surface smooth and still, its water whispering only faintly below. The animals that live here have all gone quiet, hidden in burrows and nests, wrapped in the same deep rest that holds the land. The snow changes the air itself. It softens it, thickens it, bends sound until it no longer travels. Even a footstep becomes no louder than a breath. If someone were to walk through the night now, their movements would be wrapped in silence, their shape disappearing into the falling white. The snow accepts everything and gives nothing back. It keeps the secrets of every step, every sigh, every word unspoken. Inside, the warmth persists, untouched by the quiet outside. The walls glow faintly from the fire's light, their wood dark and smooth. A thin layer of frost has formed along the edges of the roof beams, sparkling where the glow touches it. The contrast between cold and heat, between stillness and breath, feels balanced, perfect. The longhouse breathes, and so does the snow, each in its own slow rhythm, one within the other, like two heartbeats aligned. Occasionally, the roof gives a low groan as the weight of snow shifts, a deep, tired sound that echoes for a moment before fading. It does not disturb the peace, it belongs to it. The sound is part of the rhythm of the season, part of the music of winter itself. The snow outside, the fire inside, and the space between them create a harmony so delicate it feels unspoken, but deeply understood. The night grows longer, the air thickens with sleep, the fire lowers again, and the red glow settles into deep embers. The snow continues to fall, now heavier, thicker, almost invisible against the pale air. The longhouse is hidden from the world, buried beneath layers of silence. The stars above are veiled, their light faint and far away, but still they shine unseen, waiting for the sky to clear. There is comfort in this stillness, in the thought that everything beyond the walls rests together. The snow covers the fields, the rivers, the stones, the sleeping animals, even the small traces of yesterday's footsteps. It makes all things equal, all things quiet. The world is no longer a place of movement or noise, but of patience, of calm. Even the cold seems to have fallen asleep, its sharpness softened into peace. When dawn begins to appear, it does not break the silence. The light comes slowly, a pale grey spreading across the white, soft and endless. The snow continues to fall, though now it glows faintly in the early light. The longhouse begins to wake, one breath at a time, the warmth inside rising gently, pushing against the chill that waits beyond the walls. A child turns in sleep, a cow exhales in its stall, the fire stirs and sighs. The world returns, but quietly, as if it too wishes not to disturb the snow. The door will open later, when the light grows stronger, when someone decides to clear the drift that has gathered against it. For now, it remains closed, a thin line between two worlds, one of warmth and one of frozen silence. The snow will fall for many days still, each flake joining the others until the land forgets where one season ends and another begins. But in this moment, in this hour before dawn, the stillness feels eternal. Inside, the air glows softly, filled with the faint hum of warmth. The people sleep, unaware of the snow's weight, unaware of the sky beyond. Their rest mirrors the rest of the world, deep and complete. The silence of the snow moves through them too, calming the breath, slowing the heart, pressing gently against the edge of dream. Outside, the horizon blurs. The forest fades into the field into the sky. The snow erases lines, boundaries, and form until all that remains is softness, an endless plain of quiet light. The earth has no sound, no color, no edge, only the slow fall of snow and the soft rhythm of the unseen wind. And as the morning light grows, the silence remains. The snow keeps falling, covering what has already been covered, adding one more layer to the world's deep sleep. Inside the longhouse, the people continue to dream, their warmth unbroken, their breaths rising and fading like snowflakes in the firelight. The silence of the world and the stillness of their sleep are one and the same. It is the kind of quiet that does not end when the snow stops, the kind that lingers in the air, in the wood, in the heart. It is the deep silence of winter, heavy, patient, kind, wrapping everything it touches in peace. Dreams beneath the ice. The snow lies deep outside, unmoving, heavy as sleep itself. Beneath it, the world dreams. The rivers rest under their frozen skin, their waters whispering faintly below, slow and soft, like the murmur of distant voices. The trees stand still, their branches weighted by white, their roots sunk deep into the silence of earth. Even the air seems to dream, holding the hush of night in its frozen hands. Inside the longhouse, warmth glows like memory. The fire burns low, a single line of red light curling through ash. Shadows barely move now, only the faint shimmer of ember on the walls. The people sleep in their places, wrapped in furs and quiet, their faces turned toward the glow. Their breaths rise and fade, slow and even, joining the rhythm of the fire's own quiet breathing. The longhouse itself seems to rest with them, its beams sighing softly, its walls heavy with heat and peace. Dreams come gently in this place. They do not rush or twist. They drift like snow through still air, moving slowly between warmth and silence. In dreams, the cold outside softens. The wind hums a low song that carries no words. The people dream of rivers not frozen but flowing, of light not pale but golden, of green hills and long days. The mind remembers warmth, even as the body lies in cold. In the dream, the longhouse is still there, but it feels wider, larger, open to the sky. The roof has become a field of stars, the walls are made of air, and the fire burns in a circle of endless space. The smoke rises upward and becomes the northern lights, soft ribbons of color moving in silence above the sleepers. They drift beneath it, weightless, untroubled, floating between breath and nothing. The sound of the fire becomes the sound of the sea, the rhythm of waves rolling through time. One dream becomes another, without edge or boundary. A child dreams of running through summer fields, of the smell of grass and rain. The mother beside them dreams of weaving cloth that never ends, the thread glowing like sunlight. The old man at the edge of the fire dreams of wood and wind, of sailing through water that shines like glass. The dreams overlap, blending like smoke, each one carrying a small piece of warmth from the waking world. Beneath the floor, beneath the frozen ground, the earth holds its own dreams. The roots of the trees sleep, but remember the light that will return. The stones dream of rivers, of the weight of water passing over them. Even the ice dreams, holding within it the shape of motion, of currents that once flowed free. Everything in this world, awake or asleep, shares the same slow heartbeat. The fire in the dream burns differently. It makes no sound, yet its warmth reaches far, melting the edges of cold that press around it. The people sleep deeper now, their breath slowing until it becomes one sound, one steady wave that moves through the room. The night outside listens. The snow listens. The stars listen. All things for a time breathe together. Somewhere in the dream, footsteps echo across a frozen field. They leave no mark, they make no sound. The figure that walks is neither man nor shadow, only the memory of movement. It passes through the longhouse, through the walls, through the air, touching nothing and disturbing nothing. The dream accepts it as P. In the deeper part of sleep, the dreams turn slower, heavier, like the dark waters beneath ice. There are no stories now, no images, only the steady hum of warmth and breath. The body knows it is safe. The mind sinks into stillness. The fire burns low and the world folds into itself. There is no need for language here, no need for form. Only rest remains, thick and endless. Outside, the snow continues to fall. It covers the roof, the paths, the fields, until the world becomes a single white silence. The moon moves behind clouds, its light diffused and dim. The night is whole. Nothing moves, nothing stirs. Yet beneath the ice, beneath the snow, life still breathes. The rivers shift, the roots pulse. The warmth of the longhouse spreads like light through the ground. The dream of the living and the dream of the earth meet and pass through one another, unseen but connected. Sometimes, in this deep part of the night, a spark escapes the hearth and drifts upward, catching for a moment before fading. The ember glows like a tiny star, then falls back into the ash. In that brief flicker, light remembers motion, remembers heat, remembers the promise that it will return. The sleepers do not wake. The ember's light brushes their faces, then disappears, as gentle as a breath. If one could listen closely now, they would hear nothing but peace. The longhouse hums with a sound too soft to name, the sound of rest held in balance, of warmth and cold leaning against each other without struggle. The snow outside is thick, but the air inside is alive, filled with quiet light. Each heartbeat, each slow inhale becomes part of the same rhythm, the same song that moves through the house and out into the night. Toward dawn, the dreams begin to shift again. They lighten like mist lifting from the sea. Shapes return, trees, faces, the red glow of fire. The sleepers move slightly beneath their blankets, not awake, not asleep, hovering in the space between. The first hint of grey light seeps through the cracks in the wall, soft as the inside of a shell. The fire stirs, as if answering the touch of dawn. The snow outside glows now, reflecting the faint morning sky. The silence remains, but it feels different, thinner, touched by light. The dreams fade like smoke. The breath of the sleepers grows stronger, the warmth spreads through the air. The longhouse wakes slowly, as it always does, with patience, with calm. The night's dreams linger in the wood, in the air, in the gentle creak of beams. The people may not remember them, but the house does. The earth does. The fire, waking from its shallow sleep, burns a little brighter, as if it too had seen something in the dark worth keeping. And though the snow still lies deep, though the cold still presses close, the dreams remain beneath the ice, the quiet promise of warmth waiting to rise again. Beneath every frozen river, beneath every sleeping root, beneath the still surface of the world, the same light continues to breathe, slow and unseen, eternal as the snow that covers it. When morning returns, the night ends quietly, not with sound, but with light, slow and pale, spreading across the edge of the snow. It does not rise suddenly or break through the dark. It seeps in, soft as breath, filling the sky with grey and silver. The snow that fell through the night lies smooth and untouched, its surface faintly glowing beneath the early sun. The world does not stir yet. It waits, as if listening for the first sound of life. Inside the longhouse, the fire is low but still alive, a faint red pulse beneath the ash. The air is cool but not cold, the warmth held in the walls like a memory that refuses to fade. The people still sleep, wrapped in layers of wool and fur, their breaths slow, their dreams beginning to dissolve. The animals shift in their corners, soft movements that echo the rhythm of waking. The longhouse stretches as if exhaling, the beams creaking gently, the air stirring. Morning has arrived, but gently, patiently, without haste. The first to rise moves with care, pushing aside the heavy blanket of fur. Their feet touch the wooden floor, cool but familiar. They reach for a log, set it upon the embers, and wait. The fire responds slowly, its glow deepening, its breath returning. The light from the flames joins the grey light from the small cracks in the wall, and for the first time since dusk, the two meet. The balance of day begins again, warmth against chill, glow against frost. The door opens a little later, its wood stiff from the cold. A narrow band of light spills across the floor, pale and clean. The air that enters is sharp and pure, carrying the scent of snow, of pine, of silence. The person at the door stands still for a moment, eyes half closed, breathing in the morning. The snow stretches as far as they can see, smooth and perfect, the world renewed. No footprints remain, no trace of the night, only the quiet promise of another day. Slowly the others wake. There is no rush, no sound of alarm, only the soft murmur of motion. A hand reaches for a bowl, another stirs the ashes, another feeds the fire. The rhythm returns in its familiar shape, each movement slow and steady. The first sounds of the day are small. The crackle of flame, the creak of wood, the faint sigh of wool being drawn close. The longhouse breathes again, alive, whole, warm. Outside the light deepens, the sky grows pale blue near the horizon, faint pink above. The snow reflects it all, holding the colors in still silence. The wind stirs, not to bite, but to move, brushing softly over the surface of the land. The trees tremble slightly, shaking free a dust of snow that sparkles as it falls. The air is full of tiny lights, brief and weightless, like stars returning to earth. Breakfast is simple. Warm broth, bread, a piece of dried fish. The smell of smoke mixes with the scent of food, filling the house with comfort. The people eat quietly, not out of weariness, but contentment. The warmth spreads again, moving from fire to bowl, from hand to heart. The taste of the meal carries the night within it, the memory of stillness, the patience of the hours that passed. After the meal, the work begins again. The door opens wide this time, letting the light pour in. The first step into the snow feels both new and familiar, the cold biting gently at the skin, the air clear and sharp. The footprints mark the surface, deep and clean, breaking the smooth perfection with the shapes of life returning. The people move slowly at first, their breath visible, their shadows long. The tools come out, the axe, the shovel, the rope. Wood must be cut, paths cleared, water gathered. The snow resists, heavy and deep, but the rhythm of work is slow and sure. The sound of the axe echoes through the still air, the dull thud softened by the snow around. Each motion creates warmth, each breath a small flame against the cold. Inside, others tend to the fire, feeding it as the day unfolds. The light from the flames grows brighter now, competing with the daylight streaming through the door. The two lights mingle, one golden, one silver, and the air seems to shimmer between them. The smell of fresh air meets the warmth of smoke, and the longhouse feels alive in both worlds, between cold and comfort, silence and motion. As the sun climbs, its light reaches the farthest corners of the house, touching the walls, the beams, the resting faces of those still sitting near the hearth. The shadows retreat, soft and slow, folding beneath benches, fading into the cracks between planks. The fire burns higher, its crackle now clear again, its heat strong enough to drive the chill from the floor. The snow outside softens under the sun, though it will not melt. The air carries a faint glitter, the small reflection of light on ice. The world feels awake, but still quiet, as though sound itself moves gently now, unwilling to disturb the peace. The people continue their tasks, their movements steady, their words few. The long night is behind them, but its calm remains. By midday, the rhythm of the day is full. Smoke rises from the roof in a single thin line, disappearing into the pale sky. The sound of wood splitting, of footsteps pressing snow, of laughter too soft to carry far, fills the air with warmth that has nothing to do with fire. Life continues, unchanged yet renewed. The cold remains, but it feels different now. Not an enemy, but a presence, part of the same breath that fills the lungs, the same rhythm that guides the heart. As the light begins to fade again, it does so gently as it came. The sky softens to grey, the fire brightens in return, the door closes, the warmth gathers. The people sit once more around the hearth, hands resting, faces calm. They do not speak much, for nothing needs to be said. The day has passed as it was meant to, quietly, completely. The snow outside waits, the night prepares to fall again. The rhythm continues as it always has, as it always will. When morning returns, it will come the same way. Softly, patiently, without sound. The light will rise, the fire will breathe, and the world will begin again. One quiet moment at a time. In this way, through every winter, through every endless night, the people endure. Not by fighting the cold, but by living gently within it, by keeping warmth where it matters most.